On tonight's CTV News, farmers from the Philippines are being welcomed into the community. The New Zealand Transport Agency have axed the idea of commuting by rail, and Gordon Finlater catches up with the Canterbury ice hockey squad. This is CTV News, I'm Grant Mangan. The New Zealand Transport Agency announced their short-term options for relieving commuting traffic in northern Canterbury.
The possibility of a short-term railway line to ease traffic congestion has been ruled out by the NZTA. The Greater Christchurch Urban Development Strategy Implementation Committee has chosen short-term options to continue with. The Transport Agency's Southern Regional Director, Jim Harland, says the operating costs of the railway alone are not a viable option.
Primarily around two factors, one being cost. It's about $10 million to establish the rail operation, which includes upgrading some stations and in some cases putting stations back in, and about $3 million a year in operating costs before any income from users.
The short-term measures are to accommodate for the significant growth in the Waimakariri district, while the Western Corridor and Northern Arterial are built in the next 4 to 6 years. Waimakariri District Mayor David Ayres says the congestion is a product of the earthquakes, accelerating the growth in the district, and the large number of people who now live there travel to Christchurch City daily. The Waimakariri Mayor says numbers exceeding capacity results in unreliable travel times and frustration amongst drivers. One solution is an express lane for cars carrying more than 3 passengers. Out of the 10,000 people who commute to Christchurch a day, only 16% of the car travellers carry more than 2 passengers. Jim Harland says this may be one way to encourage carpooling and shorten the commuting distance.
I think people make their own choices, and I guess you get to a point of congestion where with your neighbour that becomes, if you're aware that if only 200 of you moved your travel time, then you could be one of them and you have actually solved the problem. And that's where that high occupancy vehicle lane needs to be looked at a bit further as well, because that provides an additional incentive.
Out of the 10,725 people that travel to Christchurch a day, 10% travel into the central city. Encouraging people to start work at different times was one option put forward. Another is to put in additional commuter bus services and extended bus lanes.
Also looking at putting a bus priority lane between the old Waimakariri Bridge through to the Empire Road area, and linked to that giving bus signalisation opportunities, so that will give a more efficient travel time for vehicles from that sector.
Christchurch Mayor Leanne Dalzell says the City Council will approach employers to see how they can help with providing greater flexibility with start and finish times. The Christchurch Mayor says in many cases it's a question of changing the culture of organisations to think outside the square. And the next step for the recommendations?
So the next stage is for us to put that travel coordinator position through the NZTA funding machine, if you will, and if it comes out the other end, then that person will become very active. We will commence the investigation in more detail around those bus options that I referred to, and that will then come back to the partners for formal consideration and approval.
Joelle Batista, CTV News.
The Christchurch City Council has come to a decision regarding area-wide rockfall mitigation. However, it's not in favour of affected residents.
A blow to Port Hill's red zoners. The Christchurch City Council's abandoned the idea of providing area-wide rockfall protection on the Port Hills. Christchurch City councillors decided the work was not financially viable. Residents in the Port Hills were hoping the decision would have gone the other way, as an area-wide mitigation would allow them to stay in their homes. A local resident who's been pushing for the area-wide mitigation called the decision disappointing. The council were considering the feasibility of the idea since the end of last year. In May they received a report stating the small number of properties which would benefit, coupled with the high costs, made the idea unattractive. Councillors asked for more time to make their decision, despite Mayor Leanne Dalzell saying that dragging out the issue was unfair to affected homeowners.
New Brighton is being backed by community groups, But the Christchurch City Council is seeking the private sector to help fund its saltwater pools.
New Brighton is being backed by the community, but the launch of a new 35,000 community consultation scheme in the eastern suburbs is sparking calls for more collaboration. The Eastern Vision Group launched EvoSpace, an online tool used to attract ideas from the community as well as feedback from proposals. The online tool comes at a time when New Brighton is being injected with positive projects to boost the area.
So I think we're starting to see overall a momentum shift towards New Brighton. I think things such as awarding the finishing line of the Coast to Coast, very strong symbol of affirmation and encouragement for the community.
Currently, the Eastern Recreation and Sports Centre is being driven by the Christchurch City Council, a community pool facility to include hydroslides and a fitness centre. The location for the site is yet to be confirmed, but once the site is selected, the plans will be developed. The City Council has allocated $30.5 million to the project, with an extra $6.5 million to a water attraction at the centre, allocated by the Christchurch Earthquake Appeal Trust. The Strategic Urban Rejuvenation Force is developing a boat shed market square that will combine covered spaces for regular markets. Driven by surf, it's expected to open within the year once the location has been finalised.
People just want the very best for New Brighton and the wider east, and I think it's a question of how can you harness it, get everyone all pulling together.
The Christchurch City Council is seeking private sector companies who may be willing to work on developing the hot salt water pool complex in New Brighton. Mayor Leanne Dalzell says the council wasn't in the financial position to fund the project in its entirety. The hot salt water project has been chosen as the preferred legacy project for New Brighton, with an estimated cost of $20 million. An idea first brought up 86 years ago.
Once the east has recovered, then the city has too.
Emma Cropper, CTV News.
Recent consenting data reveals building is booming in Selwyn District.
The Selwyn district is the fastest growing area in New Zealand. The rural area continues to figure strongly in Canterbury's rebuild and economic growth. Construction activity is booming. The number of dwelling consents issued continues to increase over the last year by 49%. The Selwyn District Council Environmental Services Manager, John Christensen, says the number of dwelling consents issued has more than doubled in the last 3 years. Consents applied for to build homes in the Selwyn District has grown by more than 500 in 2014 compared to the previous year. John Christensen says the council's new online consent application and processing system, introduced in February 2013, has contributed greatly to the increase. Making efficiency a top priority, the time to issue consents from the application date has decreased from 14 working days in 2013 to 11 working days this year on average. Hoping to see growth continue in the district, John Christensen says Selwyn is a desirable place to live, not far from central Christchurch, following the construction of the new southern motorway.
Still to come, rural immigrants are being welcomed to Canterbury.
Wild Spirits covers the biggest, most extreme sports events across the planet. From surfing to base jumping, snowboarding to motocross, this series will sure to have you on the edge of your seat. Wild Spirits, Wednesday nights at 7, CTV.
Pestral has the latest technology that repels rats and mice and even helps control cockroaches. Covers walls, ceilings and open spaces. Combines electromagnetic, ultrasonic and ionic technologies. Harmless to pets and people, just plug it in. Order your Pestral rodent-free today. Now $149.90 plus courier. Order within 20 minutes and get it courier free. Call 0800 88 88 44 or go to pestral.co.nz.
Hi, I'm Mark and welcome to Stay Well Pharmacy. Whatever the season, Stay Well Pharmacy has you covered. As an integrated pharmacy, we stock all the well-known pharmacy medicines, as well as quality nutritional and herbal treatments. Our team of pharmacists and full-time naturopath are here to help you find the products and advice to suit the needs of you and your family. So come in and see us at Stay Well Pharmacy, 27 Shands Road in Hornby. 'Stay Well Pharmacy, live well, stay well.
Welcome to Caltex Redwood. We're a family-owned business proudly supporting our local community. We're open 24/7 for fuel and shop goods, and we have an amazing team of people ready to help you. Save at least 6 cents per litre using AA Smart Fuel cards. We also offer great value on our LPG bottle fills. We have a full workshop and Bridgestone Tyre Centre. Our mechanics and tyre technicians will get your car sorted. Caltex Redwood. We're just down from St Bede's on Main North Road. Caltex Redwood. What drives you?
Spectacular rugby being played in the Press Cup 2014. Get your copy. DVDs available. Call right now, $29.95.
Farmers from the Philippines are being welcomed into the community. Emma Cropper has the story.
Dennis LaGrossa made the move from the Philippines to New Zealand 4 years ago, arriving with a Bachelor in Agriculture Technology in one hand and his CV in the other.
That's my life because I am an agriculturist, and that's my vision in my life to be a farmer.
It hasn't always been smooth sailing though. Dennis currently works at Medbury Farm, but being employed in New Zealand hasn't always been easy.
I have a bad experience in a previous employer, and they've adopted me fairly treated me like a friend.
Dave leads the team at Medbury, employing handfuls of workers immigrating from the Philippines.
People don't actually realise the skills that they've actually got, can have undergraduate degrees or postgraduate degrees, and they've only employing them as labour.
He believes the skills they bring to the job make them equal to any other employee from New Zealand.
But it's just treating people like you would want to be treated. So how hard is that, So a lot of people make it hard employment.
Dave makes sure they're adapting to the New Zealand culture.
I'm pretty hot on that these guys actually do something too and integrate into a community. Because that's how they become passionate about our job and being passionate about dairying.
It's made easier by Sharon, who works within the Amuri community, to make immigrants feel welcome, as well as adapting to the culture of living in New Zealand. Handing out these packs, they include all the basic information from the area, including a driver's licence form, IRD form, and information on what to expect when living in New Zealand.
The idea behind it was to have employers and employees read it together, and for it to maybe highlight some of the cultural differences that cause friction.
But that friction does still exist.
There's still instances where they're being paid a little less than they should be maybe, or less than they're worth, certainly within the legal boundaries, but not really being recognised for what they're worth.
Emma Cropper, CTV News.
Concrete beams, almost 29 metres long, are being transported to the Ashley riverbed.
Preparing for the construction of a new bridge, huge hollow core concrete beams are arriving at the Ashley riverbed. The beams weigh approximately 37 tonnes and are 28.3 metres long. The concrete structures will form the deck of support for the new bridge. Transportation of the concrete beams isn't easy, individually moved by a 35-metre long large road transporter. There are 110 hollow core beams in total. They are currently being precast at a concrete structure yard in Ralston. The placement of the first beams is expected to begin within the next week, but that is dependent on the conditions of the weather and river.
CTV's sports reporter Gordon Findlater caught up with the Canterbury ice hockey team.
The Canterbury Red Devils may not be a name that springs to mind when you think of successful Canterbury sporting franchises. The Red Devils are the region's provincial ice hockey team competing in the National League. They're not too bad either. The Red Devils are two-time defending champions and have started this season's campaign with 6 straight wins. I went down to team training on Tuesday night and asked head coach Stacey Rout what the team's secret to success was.
We source a good talent pool of imports to play with our sort of good selection of New Zealand guys that we've got here. There's quite a large, we're building a good player base here, and even though there's a lot of guys that have played on the New Zealand team, they've been retained here in Christchurch. We look for European forwards. We find that a lot of our guys in our offence, we're trying to steer towards some of the European finesse, you could say. So we look to bring those guys that are skilled and come out to score goals basically, and we bring them into the team. And then we look for two generally North American defensemen, because we like to play defensively, like to play quite physically, and they just bring good grit and determination to the team that everyone else feeds off.
Recruitment of international talent is crucial to the growth of the sport in this country. Team manager Graham Tappan explained the team's recruiting process.
What happens is at the end of the season, the imports that have been here go back overseas to play in their leagues, and they spread the word around, and then we start fielding inquiries via email that comes through, and towards the start of the season, by about February, we start going through the applicants and working out who would fit the team, who doesn't, what their experience is, checking out their stats, who they've played for, what position they are, what club they're playing with, and their experience. And then we put our package towards them and try and encourage them to come over to New Zealand.
One of this year's 4 imports is Vladimir Kutney. Vlad has played in top leagues around Europe and North America. He was even drafted by the Detroit Red Wings as their 8th round pick in 2003. Kutney has been impressed by the level of competition he's seen in the New Zealand League.
I'm surprised that I thought it's gonna be a little bit worse, but the quality of the teams and players, they surprised me, and I think like every team got first 2 lines are pretty good home players and good imports. So it's not that easy. Now in these days, everybody can skate and everybody can shoot, everybody can hit. So I think the game is improving in New Zealand.
The team have 2 home games this weekend on Saturday and Sunday at Alpine Ice against Auckland rivals the Botany Swarm. Currently 6 from 6, there's some extra motivation to keep the team's perfect run going.
There is a record at the moment which stands at 8 for most consecutive wins in a season. We're just focused on that for a start.
So get the 2 wins this weekend and then go for that record.
Yeah, we might put that up there as a goal. Yeah.
Gordon Finlater, CTV Sport.
Well, coming up, Gordon returns with a preview of the weekend sporting action. We'll have a roading update and, of course, your regional weather.
Come on down to Ferrymead Golf. Care for a game of paintball? How about some swings on the old driving range? Or on our par 3 9-hole golf course? Test your skills on the mini golf course or have a go at the airgun shooting range. Then relax at the Wow Cafe with one of our super succulent Wow Burgers. Whether you want to perfect your swing or are looking for a fun family day out, come down to Ferrymead Golf, 50 Ferrymead Park Drive, right next to the Ferrymead Heritage Park.
Get rid of that damaging and unsightly moss, mould and lichen from your path, drive or roof with Mossbuster. Mossbuster is a no-bleach, non-abrasive, biodegradable solution that has over 35 years of proven results. Mossbuster costs less than half the price of other well-known products and can be yours for less than $1 a litre. You just spray it on and let Mother Nature do the rest. Check out our website to find the best solution to your moss, mould and grime problem. Order online or call us now on 0800 88 1000.
Meet the latest arrivals at Berlin's 2 animal parks and find out what it takes to be a zoo baby in a modern zoo. Zoo Juniors. Wednesday nights at 8 p.m, right here on CTV.
Gordon Finlater returns now with a preview of your local weekend sport.
The final round of Hawkins Trophy pool play takes place this weekend, with 3 teams looking to grab the final 2 spots in the top 4, with Lincoln University and New Brighton already assured of a semi-final spot. Christchurch have the toughest task, currently sitting in 5th spot and needing a win when they travel to Lincoln University to take on last year's finalist and the recent Hawkins Cup winners. Sydenham and High School Old Boys currently occupy 3rd and 4th spot, with the winner of their matchup at Sydenham Park being assured of a top spot in the playoffs. The other match of the round sees New Brighton at home to Marist Albion. New Brighton will be looking for a bonus point win as they attempt to pip Lincoln University for the top seed going into the weekend's semi-finals. All of those matches get underway at 2:45 tomorrow. Canterbury Cricket have lost another batsman ahead of the summer, with former New Zealand A player George Worker confirming he will be heading back to Central Districts. Worker becomes the 5th batsman to exit over the off-season, with Dean Brownlee, Rob Nichol and Bradker Chopra all departing, while Shannon Stewart will be lost to retirement. Neil Broome has been the only announced newcomer to the batting stocks. However, coach Lee Jamon is believed to be in talks with a number of potential recruits. The vacancies will also be seen as an opportunity for a number of under-19 and 18 batsmen to stake their claims for a spot in the lineup. A decision on the new coach of the Mainland Tactics netball team is expected to be made in the coming days. It's understood that former Silver Fern and current assistant at the Tactics, Julie Seymour, is facing competition from former Australian international shooter Sue Hawkins. Hawkins coached England between 2007 and 2011 and also held a role as Netball Australia's high performance manager. New Zealand is also not foreign ground to her, having coached the former Auckland Diamonds in the domestic league. If Hawkins was to be appointed, she would become just the 2nd Australian coach to coach a Kiwi franchise. And finally tonight, we've got Press Cup secondary school rugby action here on CTV this weekend, with Shirley Boys High making the trip down to play Ashburton College at the Ashburton Showgrounds. If you're in the area, kickoff is at 12 noon on Saturday, with coverage of the match here on CTV at 12 on Sunday, with a replay at 5:30. You're up to date with the latest in local sport. I'm Gordon Finlater for CTV Sport.
If you're driving around the Christchurch Central City, CTV's traffic update will assist you navigating the repairs taking place.
Hello travellers, to help you plan your journey around the central city, here's some tips on how to get around this week. From next week, Antigua Street will be one-way northbound only between Morehouse Ave and Hawkett Street. We recommend using Senasive Street and Hagley Ave to continue south. Montreal Street continues with work between Morehouse Ave and Senasive Street but will remain 2 lanes at all times. And Tuam Street remains one-way eastbound between Colombo Street and Manchester Street. To keep up to date on what's happening on the Central City roads, stay tuned, and in the meantime, visit the Transport for Christchurch website.
Well, it certainly has been cold today. Time for us to find out whether it's going to remain cold over the weekend and whether we might get a light dusting of snow perhaps. Let's check out your regional weather.
Let's take a look at today's temperatures. South Canterbury, Timaru just had 5 degrees today. Temuka and Geraldine both on 5 degrees. Ashburton, it was 5 degrees for you today. Methven also on 5 degrees. Rakaya, you had 5 degrees for Friday. Darfield had 5 degrees out there today. Leeston and Rolleston 1 up with 6 degrees. Lincoln also on a high of 6 degrees today. Christchurch, a chilly day with 6 degrees as your high, and in Akaroa, a cold day with 5 degrees. Out in North Canterbury, Kaipoi, Rangiora and Amberley all on 6 degrees for Friday. And taking a look further inland, Colverton and Hanmer Springs, you were both on 6 degrees today and 6 degrees in Cheviot. And up along the east coast, Kaikoura reached a high of 7 degrees. Timaru, cloudy with periods of rain and snow above 300 metres. Yes, it will be very cold with southerly winds. Tonight's low 2 degrees, tomorrow's high 6 degrees. Ashburton, rain at times all day with a cold southerly breeze and snow showers above 300 metres. Tonight's low 2 degrees, tomorrow's high 6 degrees. Christchurch, wrap up because we have another chilly day in store with light showers at times and southerly winds. Tonight's low 3 degrees, tomorrow's high 7 degrees. And up in Kaikoura, mostly cloudy but dry with cold southeasterly winds. Tonight's low 3 degrees, tomorrow's high 7 degrees. The rest of Canterbury can also expect showers, with some places even expecting snow. Let's find out what towns are in for the snowfalls. Methven and Darfield, you can expect 6 degrees with snow showers in the morning and rain in the afternoon, 0 degrees overnight. 7 degrees is expected in Rakaia and an overnight low of 2 degrees with showers throughout the day. Over in Akaroa, a cold day ahead with showers and 7 degrees as your high. Out in North Canterbury, cloud around for Kaipuirangiora and Amberley. Culverden, Hemner Springs and Cheviot wrap up warm because snow is expected for you with a high of 5 degrees. Looking ahead for Canterbury, high cloud increasing and thickening on Sunday during the day with moderate cold southwesterlies. A period of fresh, very cold winds and wintry showers developing on Sunday night. Very cold on Monday with wintry showers bringing snow and hail to low levels, but falls mostly light and scattered and clearing by Monday night, and those fresh southwesterly winds will ease. Mostly fine on Tuesday with sunny periods and some cloud and moderate southwesterlies, and you can also expect frost morning and night. Cloudy on Wednesday with a few more showers likely, but only scattered and light. Snow above 300 metres with moderate southwesterly winds. Fine with sunny periods and scattered cloud on Thursday with light winds, cold temperatures and frosty in the evening. That's your weather update for Friday. Snuggle up and enjoy the rest of your evening.
So snuggling up is very good advice. Keep warm. That's CTV News for Friday. I'm Grant Mangan. Good night.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.